Hey, welcome to episode 120 of New York Red Bulls Special Group Podcast. I'm Gary Redden. Greetings and salutations. Good to be back after a short vacation. So let's talk about what did not happen, and that was basically a win. So me and the boys are going to very briefly discuss what took place, what was supposed to, with the New York Red Bulls, Red Bulls taking on Philadelphia Union, and how much of that was a massive debacle for everybody involved. Of course, and Nicholas is going to get you guys all set up for Sporting Kansas City when they roll into town on Saturday. And let's hope that, for all intents and purposes, they get this little, losing streak, this one-game losing over and done with. Anthony Merced, my good friend, my good friend, my partner from AJM Sports FC, will actually join us on the show tonight with his monthly installment of Red Bulls download, some of the stuff that basically that most of you guys can because we work in the media, and there's going to be some definitely questions about the team. And of course, hot takes from your live audience. I see you guys coming on like right now. Good to see you all. It's always a pleasure to hear what you hear, and I'm sure everyone basically is going to have a lot to say what happened on Saturday. And of course, if you happen to miss the live show, which is happening right now, you can able to get the on-demand recording on our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Goals.tv, and of course, our home at Spotify.com. All of our episodes are uploaded the very next day, so you can able to check them out long after we sign off. And of course, we want this show, your show, our show, to be the best out there. So this is where we can use your help. Let us know how we're doing. We're serious. We welcome any feedback you have about the show, good, bad, and different. Any suggestions you may want to have, please shoot us an email at rbdgthepodcast@gmail.com. Once again, that's rbdgthepodcast@gmail.com. So, let's talk about Philly. Well, Philadelphia basically was in 10th place, and they were basically playing for their playoff lives. They were ready. The Red Bulls were not. And as a result, a loss. Their first at home this season. And for them, a winning streak that's now extended now to 3 years. I know Lon Ray had a birthday this week. Happy birthday to him during this week. And I know he was totally messed up and angry. And everyone's calling him Jinx Ray now. Poor guy. Guy can't just catch a break. But we know him, we love him. He'll be back next week for you guys to, get on his nerves about that. But hopefully there'll be a win versus Sporting Kansas City. But before we move on to that, let me bring on two of my great pals, of course, as always, the pod masters, Nicholas Llanos, and of course, live from Casa de Nunez, the one and only Miguel Nunez. Without basically turning this into an R-rated episode, this was okay. Before even the ball was kicked, Nick, what was you expecting from the Red Bulls at that point? Were you expecting them to go after them in full bore, or nothing like this?
I wanted a fight. They should have came out looking for a fight. They came out looking to sleep. They were asleep at the wheel. I'm sorry. That was flat again. Second game in a row, you come out flat. There's nothing else to be said. We'll get to the goals in a second, but there's nothing more you can say about that. That is the flattest performance, I think, not of the year. Of these 2 games after the break, you come out flat.
I mean, your recap said it all. That loud sound you hear, thud, was like a cut down, like a sequoia that got cut down.
Tree in the forest coming right down, bang, and there you go.
And it landed right on us.
And everybody, and not only did half the fan base jump on the back of this because they were pissed as can be, which they have every right to be. That is not a performance. At home against, they're not your rivals, but put that in quote.
They're a conference rival. Let's get that straight. Okay. let's not go about who's a rival and who's not. Anybody you're facing, they love beating. Obviously, they love beating us at Red Bull Arena. Miguel, oh boy, I bet you were just yelling and screaming and hollering and everything else, but somehow you warned us. It was like, okay, there was something about this team that just didn't sit right after the 1-1 draw.
Gary, I don't know what to say. I
Say it
watched,
anyway.
you know, I
Get
don't
it
know
out.
what
Get
to
it
say.
out of
Well,
your system. This is
listen,
the episode you get it out of your system.
before coming into this game, the talk between us and the rest of my friends online, it was like, yeah, Philly sucked this year. We're gonna beat them, you know. That was the talk, okay? But by just watching both teams out on the field, Gary, I would say they have a better team than we do. Okay. They have better tactical signings than we do, Gary. I would say it that way. Okay. And I'm going to tell you something. You know what? That guy who scored first, Ure, right?
Mhm.
As soon as he got the ball, Gary, as soon as he got the ball, I knew he was going to score. And after he got the ball, he had much to do. He had to cut inside, but these guys just let him have the space, okay, to phone in for Chinese food and then take his shot, Gary. Okay, yeah. I mean, come on. And this is supposed to be one of the best defenses in Major League Soccer. Give me a break, okay? This was Sunday League, okay. Now, I will say, Gary, I mean, I would have to ask you because I remember because it seems like they hit the Red Bulls hit the post like 10 times, Gary.
5
okay?
actually.
I don't know how much. Okay, but Gary, they had those and they had like one-on-ones against the keeper. You mean to tell me they couldn't put a couple of those chances away? I mean, what is going on here? I'm going to tell it to you again. The forwards that we have are absolute garbage. Okay, Van Zier, I wouldn't even talk about it. But Elias Manuel, he'll score a goal every once in a while,
or when they play Charlotte. But go ahead.
Yeah, you know what, man? He should have buried a couple of those at the very least. We shouldn't be talking about a loss right now. We should be talking about at least getting a point out of these guys. Okay. But no, man, we made them look like the best team in the MLS. Okay?
Maybe Red, our new mascot, shouldn't have thrown away food, angering the soccer gods. I mean, they don't like it when you waste food. I mean, at least politely say no thanks. But to throw it in the air and demonstratively stomp on it, well, he didn't step on it, but basically he just threw it around like, kind of angered the gods a bit. But although that is not the reason why they lost, the reason why they lost was 2 very ghastly defensive mistakes from a center, from a center back that up until this point usually don't make many. I mean,
no, but Gary, if I tell you, never mind that.
Okay,
they should have buried several goals, Gary.
Not gonna lie. I mean, I mean, when you look at the stats after we see the replays, okay, there is a lot of folks wondering. Okay, wait a minute, you're trying to tell me you couldn't score one after having how many shots on goal, and how many hit the post? I mean, so I always say, and I'm always waxing poetic about how soccer is just like life, but if you don't take care when you have the ball, you're always going to be in a losing fight. You're always going to be losing in. Philly did their job. We did not. The first goal came in, not even shockingly, 4 minutes, not even before anybody got down and got a soda, a hot dog, or anything else. 4 minutes into the match, Mikel Ure.
Danley Jean-Jacques plays ahead, and now McGlynn. Mikel Ure backs up Kyle Duncan. Here's the striker from Denmark. Gives it a go and scores! Ure in the opening moments, 4th minute. And the strike for the Union to give them the early lead. All of the pressure they had against Columbus in the opening moments Wednesday never found the back of the net. What a big moment for Ure here.
But I want to talk about McGlynn here. First of all, it's a wonderful pass from Danley. McGlynn plays the ball, but now watch his run. The run that he makes, it sows a seed in the doubt of Sean Nealis, the captain, because he's now concerned. He's saying to Duncan, you stick with McGlynn, I'll take Ure. And because of that, that leaves the space open for Ure to take the strike. And we know more often than not, he gets into those positions, he's going to take the strike. He does it, and Philadelphia Union
Higginbotham sit at best. Okay, basically you said okay, you stick with him, except that when you're telling someone to stick with him, Nick,
Yeah.
you shouldn't have had the guy ghost you like that. I mean, you opened up you parted the Red Sea for the guy, and he's not gonna miss when you do that.
Gary, that's a man who could score right there. Thank you.
There was two things wrong with the whole concept of the whole play breakdown. First of all, Dunkar overcommitted on a pass
That's one.
That's the first mistake. Now Edelman is on the left, trying to track all the way to the right to catch up to McGlynn. McGlynn's just
that's two.
McGlynn's going to blow right by him. His pass to Ure puts him on stride that he's one-on-one with Duncan, and that's a matchup that Ure will love to have, and Philly loved it when they saw it. He comes sprinting in. Duncan does the right thing. He forces him inside. Nealis goes, I got him, and points to Duncan to push him off to take McGlynn. When he does this, he doesn't move up to take him.
Right.
What are you doing?
Right.
Sorry for banging the table. What are you doing, Sean?
I mean that's
you. You should not give him up the space. If you're saying you got him, you take him. You either foul him, cut him down, or do something.
Barge into him outside the box.
Yeah, body him or something. I mean, by the time he made his move, you saw the replay. By the time he made his move, it was too late.
By the time
by you,
Nealis was caught flat-footed, and he was like, "Oh no!" And you saw it. One step into goal, shot was off. Now Coronel can't see it because Nealis is 6'4" and in the way, and the shot
being screened, right?
Being screened, he's 6'4" in the way, and he goes right into the corner. Dives after the fact that the ball's right by him. Not on Coronel. This is purely on Dunkar, Edelman, and Nealis. If anybody, everybody's first to quick to blame Duncan. No, Duncan did what he was supposed to do. He slowed him down. He allowed him to cut inside. Where Nealis said, he's mine, and it's on Nealis.
Yeah. And Ura said, "No, you're mine. You're mine.
I got it. Don't worry, we're good." Boom, 1-0. And then when you see the second goal, which is the common copy of the first goal, we did it ourselves again. It wasn't done in fast motion. It wasn't, and this one was just from the left to the center. The only difference. It was the same exact concept.
Speaking of, let's talk about that second goal.
It's a rarity for the Red Bulls to concede a first half goal. Only 12 on the year to this point, third fewest in MLS. Gazdag for Ua. Top of the 18, and a shot fired. They double the lead. Ty Baribo from outside the box. And his blistering stretch continues. The Union's stunning Red Bull Arena are up by 2, and we haven't hit a quarter of an hour yet.
Movement. So you see Gazdag, number 10 there. You see Baribo just hanging back a moment. You've got Ua, he's going to stretch the game a little bit. All of a sudden, where are your 10s and your Baribo? In behind the two central midfielders and in front of the two centre-backs. It's brilliant from Philadelphia Union. They have noticed that straight away. And Baribo, the man of the moment, it's a wonderful finish. Gives Coronel absolutely no chance. But the movement of the front three.
Did you notice how many people were standing around, literally huddled around by the time that goal, was unleashed? I mean, that's when you call Keystone Cop defending. You're trying to tell me, okay, that out of all of you, you let Ty Baribo just waltz right up from outside the distance, and he said, "Thank you very much," and took that shot. There was not a red shirt between him and anybody else. Him in the net. There was no red. I mean, we sat there. Anthony and I just looked at each other and said, "Well, damn, that hasn't happened in quite a while." I'm not expecting these guys to be lights out, but at least be tactically aware of some of these guys that have the ball. To your point, Miguel, it wasn't just the offense that was just stinking up the joint. The defense was stinking up the joint as well. So this was a total team effort, okay? And then for what it's worth, okay, thanks to City losing their game, we didn't drop. I mean, we may have dropped points, but we definitely didn't drop in the standings. We are still in fourth place. Final score: Philadelphia Union 2, New York Red Bulls zip. Okay. You're on the fourth, Baribo in the 14th, and that's all they needed to basically douse out the fire that was cooking at home. But then when you look at the shots, okay, 21-4 on frame. Ouch. I mean, this is just, this is one of those matches where you say you wish you had something like this back. Okay. It was a total mess. Okay. We're not going to mention that John Cloken made his 100 career MLS start in tonight's match. Kyle Duncan, he made his 127th, which moves him past Connor Lade for sixth place in franchise history. And that was the most of his appearance by defender. Felipe Carbello, we talked about him last week. He made his debut tonight. Did very well. I mean, for someone who just got here, he's going to practice with the team. I like what I saw from him. There's going to be more in this, more in him as we go along. So I think he's going to do quite well for the team once they can sign it, put pen to paper and do what he needs to do. And Serge Goma, remember him? Well, he made his return to action after suffering a knee injury. It was his first since April 6th against FC Cincinnati. So he's coming back. This is what I mean by the silver lining, guys. Despite the loss, some of our guys have been, among them was also coming back. Peter Stroud, he's back. Okay. So, I mean, he's doing well in that area. So the team is getting healthier. The team is slightly getting stronger. We're still waiting on word of the captain. I believe he's back in a couple of weeks, which was last we heard. More on that when Anthony Merced comes in after the break. But overall, second straight game, team hasn't really started up on fire as they should. Is that a concern, Miguel?
Well, yeah, it is a concern because we're in fourth position in the East right now. Okay, we still have a home game. Okay, but we start dropping more points, and once CFC wins, we lose next week. That's it. We're out of that. I think we'll be in fifth spot. So it is a concern. These guys need to be at home. I most certainly to win in the playoffs.
Okay, they're for the remaining 8 games left, Nick. I believe they're at home at least 4 of them.
KC Atlanta, Philadelphia, KC Atlanta, NYCFC, and Columbus.
Right.
Toronto, Chicago, and Atlanta's away.
Right.
Also, Gary, let me point out, that the best player in the field must have been Donkor. Okay, as far as that guy was really good, man.
He's been a relevant. I mean, it's almost like he's been a new signing.
Right?
I mean, I'm not. I haven't yet sung his. And I have been singing his praises. He's been definitely doing it, but he's doing it all by himself. And what really annoys me is that the guys also have to step up a little bit. So, would you say that some of the guys need to have a seat? Maybe Edelman?
Yeah, Edelman the last 2 games has not been great.
I mean, maybe
I think this was his worst performance in a Red Bull uniform.
It's not his only worst performance. I mean, he's had several. I mean, where he's almost dare I say disappeared. But I'm not going to do that because he definitely have some. Force within him. But it's kind of discerning that the midfield, which is basically the engine of the team, at least offensively, but at least very importantly, defensively, is kind of slacked off a little bit. That's an overall concern. And that's something I pointed out to the coach. I'm like, there's a couple of areas that, you can be counted on, right? For matches that guys usually don't fall asleep on. And that is 1, defense, 2, the defensive midfield. So they get a replacement for Amaya, I guess, with Carbello. It's going to take him a while to get him up to speed, but it looks like he's learning. He's doing quite well. Thank you very much. But then, who would you wrap him around with in that area? Your guess, Miguel. Before we go to the break.
I mean, I would go with Doncor if they're going to pair two guys in the defensive midfield. Okay, and I would like to see what Forsberg, and Carballo and Doncor and Lewis Morgan can do in that midfield. Okay. By the way, I would say Lewis Morgan, he had a poor game. Okay, I don't know what you guys think, but
he had a poor game because he was trying to keep the team together. He was all over the place except for the position that was at, because
you saw him get frustrated on a couple of attempts that he just said, "Give me the ball, I'm going to take it. I'll do it myself." You saw that come out of him, but I'm not going to kill him for his. He set up two perfect chances for Manuel to score.
Right.
He could have scored on one of them. Yes, could have scored on one of them.
He scored both of them. The back to the header was Manuel did the right thing. He let the play develop. He let everybody go forward, and he waited and he pushed himself to an angle where he was all alone. And Morgan saw him and he cut it right back to him. And it was a free, easy, open header, which he bangs off the post. That was in like the 65th minute sort of thing.
Both players had their heads, had their head like, I can't believe that.
It was early in the second half, like around the 50th minute, when he was played right through. He split three defenders. The pass was right there. All you had to do is kick it into the net, and he went far post, correctly done, and he banged it off the post. Morgan was fine. It wasn't Morgan's problem. It was Manuel's finishing. That was a huge problem.
He was. I mean, you can't blame you can't blame the cook for cooking a good meal if no one eats it. As they say. So it was just overall it was a bad night. I mean, I'm glad personally we got this out the way. Okay, got me go.
Gary, you could see the problem, the massive problem that we had, and we could see it last year.
Of course,
this front office did nothing to address that.
We're going to talk about that definitely after the break. Okay, why that could really seriously come back to haunt the Red Bulls.
Yeah.
I mean, it's frustrating, for a lot of the fans, because especially after a game like this, right? You see it, guys. You see it in the discussion group, Nick, Miguel, a whole lot of dudes saying, "I told you so," right? But getting forwards is not as easy as pushing a bunch of buttons on your joystick in FIFA. It's not that simple. Where it's even more difficult, where you had a front office who can't seem to find the guys that you needed. But there's one person who's going to help me out with that and is going to answer most of your questions. And I hope you have him. So for those of you guys, sign off of this, because there's a lot of questions on this, on this one when we return after the break. But very first, before we do that, of course, there were some games played, of course, in Major League Soccer. You're going to show, of course, naturally, week 30, the final scores, of course, in Major League Soccer. We'll be back in 30 seconds. See you then. Before we begin, I want to give a big fat shout out to the kids over in Red Handed Productions. They have been spectacular with the graphics and everything else, and helped me out with the music in the background. So they've been doing it all year long. And of course, they're the ones that basically made the show go. So big kudos to those guys. The man on my lower right, of course, needs no introduction whatsoever because he, like I, was there when the incident took place. So, and we had a few discussions about that, but Anthony, I talked about the team starting out flat-footed, almost like what's it now, second game in a row, and I asked the coach specifically, was this a concern? He gave me an answer, but let me ask you: should it be a concern for this team?
Well, let's go back first. First off, thank you for having me on. Secondly, what were the two things that I talked about in our pregame? I talked about Andre. I talked about Andre Blake.
Andre Blake, which he was masterful. He made some. He stopped more than a couple of point blank shots. By the way,
and I said very clearly, what this team needs to do is not give the midfield enough time with their slow legs to pass the ball,
which they did.
What were the two things that happened on those goals? That's it. Now, the minute those two goals happened, they didn't do any of those things for the rest of the game. There was one moment in the second half where there was an empty net that should have been a third goal from Philadelphia. Take it for what it was. But the remainder of the game, they did everything that they were supposed to do. Now, one thing I want to tell everybody that's listening here, because I know you guys mentioned before shots on target. All of those shots that hit the post are not counted as shots on target.
Well, yeah,
we know that.
I'm just informing everybody that those shots. So when you say shots on target, those targets that hit the post, did not count for that. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about what this team generated. But yeah, no, look, it's what we know about this team, right? They are very stout defensively this year. They have major deficiencies in the final third. That is what's keeping them from competing with the three teams in front of them. But that defensive portion of it, which didn't do well for them in this game, which is only the fifth loss of the season, which is second best for the entire league, is what keeps them from competing moving forward. And that's where the New York Red Bulls are in 2024, which is way better than where we were 12 months ago.
12 months ago, we were fighting. Believe it or not, 12 months ago, we were
where
Philly was.
We were not. No. We were not where Philly was. We were a bottom feeding team 12 months ago. We were not competing for a playoff spot 12 months ago. It took a late push to make that happen.
12 months ago, we had the same amount of points at the end of the season we have today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just want fans to digest that. I understand because there is, 30 years of angst that is living within this 28 years of angst that's living within this fan base that they need to understand.
It's the angst that keeps us alive. There you go.
It is. But what this new coach is doing, I'm not going to say it's quote unquote working. What I'm saying is it has them in a better position than they have been in the last few years. And pragmatism is what's needed to see where they end up at the end of this year. That's it.
I think he's just doing a fantastic job. I mean, if the team
he is suspended, by the way.
Yes,
he is suspended for the next game on yellow card accumulation.
And the reason why he got suspended because he was cursing out the fourth official because Blake was taking so long getting the ball back in play.
I'm going to say this. Kudos to Andre Blake for getting away with CONCACAFing this game.
Yeah,
he was laying on the ball like it was the 90th minute. In the 10th
minute.
And they let him get away with it. So God bless. He got away with it.
I mean,
my nephew was counting how many times. What's taking so long for this guy to just start counting? He goes, what? He's gonna be there forever. Don't worry. Just start counting.
He tested the referee and he won. And that's the end of it. Good goalkeeping.
One person knew the rules, the other one that. Is to make sure Anthony gives us more insight, which he will, because it seemed like Gustavo last week was agitated about, as we should be. The reason why Gustavo was agitated was, of course, the lack of signings in the transfer window.
Yeah.
Where was it? Why it didn't happen, and so on. I wish I was able to play it back, but I couldn't get the video back up at up on time. Of course, naturally, because of the technical issues we're having a little bit with the system. What he said was this. He wanted to know why in the world Red Bull aren't going to South America, why they're not going down to the areas where the ballers want to come up here. You've mentioned it more than once, Anthony. They are disturbingly and annoyingly German. But I sometimes wonder, why do they like Europe so blasted much? I mean, I also can channel the fact, since we followed USL back in the days, you and I, very closely. There's about 10% of ballers right now who are scoring left and right. You're trying to tell me they don't get it? You're not inviting any of those guys to camp? But I sometimes wonder, is that the particular ethos with Red Bull? It's like, okay, we got to go to Europe because that's where the choice ballers are, and that's where we're going to go. But why South? Why? I mean, I understand that we don't really have any scouts over in South America.
They do have scouts in South America.
Okay, thank you.
They do.
Thanks for correcting me.
So first off, the Red Bull 2 team is full of the talent that comes from South America. You see that. The thing with Red Bull is they are looking to develop a lot more than bring in players that are going to act right now. First off, new signing Carballo is a South American pickup. So that's an example there. Elias Manuel is a South American pickup. If you're talking about like big splash signings, they're not coming from South America.
Yeah, but they are very good for the Red Bulls so far.
Yeah, they are signing players from South America. Luquinhas came from South America. Kaku previously from that. It's not that they're not doing that, but if you're looking for the splash player, that they are looking to Europe a lot of times for that, and they haven't quite hit. Dante Van Zier, and I'm using him as a splash player, but like Red Bull version of splash was Emil Forsberg. Their other signings around that were not names necessarily, but were people who came in and should have been more than they were. Luquinhas underperformed. Van Zier has woefully underperformed. I think we can all agree with that. And we can also say that his substitution at I can't remember if it was halftime or just after, what was a good example of what they believe his capabilities are at this point. So, Manuel stood on the field far longer. They feel more confident on him, a South American player, than they do with Dante Van Zier, the Belgian European player. They were looking at European players. One of the signings, whose name I will not mention here, that was playing in Europe, could not come here because of an injury. So there's lots of names. So like when everybody goes, Red Bull's doing nothing, the problem is not that Red Bull is doing nothing, is that they're not telling you what they're doing.
That's another thing they're notorious for. Yeah, they love they like to keep things close to the vest, and that adds to the frustration. And that's basically standard operating procedure. And this is something I've been telling the fans. Look, guys, I know you guys are yelling at me and yelling many of my folks in the media, calling us the P word for not conducting interrogations and trying to get word out from people, but that's how it is. I mean,
well, first off, we don't ask the head coach about signings because the head coach doesn't make signings.
Right.
So when everybody goes like, no, ask Sancho this, I go, his answer is going to be, I don't know.
Right.
And
he doesn't know.
And people have asked him that. And the answer has been, I don't know. And it's not just Sandro.
This is
Struber. Everybody beforehand. Those are not the people that answer questions. Brian Cashman, the GM of the New York Yankees, does not do an interview every week. True. Nobody asks Aaron Boone about trades. And if they do, his answer is, that's not my job. And that's what we're getting from Sandro Schwartz right now, is it that's not my job. And he's right about that.
Right. I mean, I'm rather ask him questions about more of the match and his players than something that he is not privy to or he is in direct control of. No, man, he's in direct control of. You got to ask him. Okay. Maybe you guys have forgotten that when Jochen Schneider first got here, one of my initial questions to him was, well, first of all, I greeted him and said, welcome to New York. My question was, okay, how are you going to build a team that fans want to be able to root for? Many of the older fans have just simply given up, okay, and left thinking that that's never going to happen. He gave me an answer. I had to let it go because the one thing that you and I, Anthony, don't have a whole lot, even if we're at the training staff, is time. We have a very tight window where we can ask maybe one question, maybe two, and then hopefully we can able to get the answer. What we're not going to do is be a bunch of obnoxious slobs because that will get your credentials taken away.
It's not that it's going to get your credentials taken away. So you can be antagonistic. The issue is that the answer you're going to get is not going to be an actual answer.
Right. That's not going to be the one that you want.
It's going to be an F off. And, in their nice, in coach speak, essentially. And it doesn't get you anything.
Anthony, there was one coach who was pretty much known for doing that. His name was Bruce Arena.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Mike Petke.
He was pretty much good for. I mean, at least Bruce, when he tells you "F you," I mean, he does it in a very distinct style that intimidates the heck out of newbies out there. But that's what 8 years in this, guys, and I've learned to do one thing: pick your fights.
Yeah, you do. You do have to pick your fights. Now, here's the other thing about this team that I think a lot of people. So there's a lot of people this year that I think, if you ask me, is this team winning MLS Cup? No. If I had to put money on it, my answer is no. Do I think that this is a playoff team that could give teams a lot of problems? Absolutely, 100%. Every year, this team gives people problems. It's very rare that this Red Bull team goes in there and gets blown out 5-0, right? Like, you think about last year, the penalty kicks against Cincinnati. So many years of that. The idea being is that you get to that point. You can never build. I say this, and I'm bringing up baseball again because I yell to my baseball friends about this all the time. You cannot build a team for the postseason. You can't build a playoff team. You have to build a team for the regular season. And when you get to the playoffs, you have to hope for the best. Whether they get hot at the right time, all these kinds of things. And the same thing exists in MLS. That's why we've only had, one Supporters Shield team win since the Galaxy in 2012? It's about getting hot at the right time. If right now, if you ask me, is this Red Bull team hot? They're lukewarm at best. If they get hot in late September, do I think that they can make a run and be an MLS Cup contender? Absolutely, yes, based on how defensively sound they have been all year. If you're asking me, can they take every team in the playoffs to a penalty shootout so that it's a coin flip? Absolutely, yes. And they will give you a heart attack the entire way through. Do I think that that's what the team should be? No, I don't think they should be that all the way through. But if they do that, I think that should satisfy a fan base that is constantly asking for a team to be competitive, and they are.
One of my metrics is that any team, any season that doesn't end with silver, that ends with silverware, is considered a failure. I kind of dial it back a little bit because
that's a Yankee mindset.
Hey, I've been a Yankee fan since birth, but there you go, right? So that's just me as a Yankee fan talking. But at the same token, not every organization, and the reason why they dialed it back a bit because not an organization can be like the Yankees. Okay, if that was the case, sports would really be boring. to the point, but going by what you said, and I agree with you, it's 110%. This club on paper as is good enough. Is it a championship caliber team? No. Can they cause a lot of fits in the playoffs? Yeah. if once they get hot, I mean, if the standings guys, Nick, Miguel, take one good look at the standings, and the season ended today, your playoff opponent would be NYCFC, and that should be a very interesting playoff series. Okay,
what's the playoff format this year?
It's the same as last year. So
same as last year.
Yeah. So like 8 and I think it's like 9 and 10 or 8 and 9 play
7,
one
8, 9, 10,
play one game because Miami would get a bye, this and that. But look, I have to ask everybody, who is the best team in MLS right now?
Columbus.
Okay.
Columbus Crew, yeah.
Gary, where are they in the standings right now?
Third. Right now, third
there you
place.
Go. Like
fifth, third place, fifth overall.
So
there you go.
It's not about the standings. It's about getting that home field advantage wherever you can get it and getting through there. I don't believe for one second, I don't believe for 1 minute that Miami can get through an away playoff game. But I believe that Columbus can bulldoze their way through anything and everything. And I think that that's what you want to build in a team. But to do that, it takes time. And with Sandro, we're in year 1 with him. And the improvement has already been quite significant from the Struber years in what we're seeing and in the talent that has been brought in. We know that there's talent leaving this team in the offseason. We know that they are looking to bring more talent in. The other thing I want to say, because a lot of fans don't realize this weird transfer window that we had, this is not MLS. This is U.S. Soccer that made this transfer window. So again, if you want to yell at someone, go yell at U.S. Soccer. Yell at Canada is doing the same thing. The Canadian teams had a completely different transfer window than we did.
Yeah.
So the way to build this transfer window was so short. I think it was like 5 weeks. That's not a lot of time when you think about the European transfer window that has 8 to 10, sometimes 12 weeks, depending on when it starts, to get this done. It is not easy to get things done in that window for MLS teams now, considering what they were given.
Never is. And I think that's the one thing that seems to escape a lot of fans, even the experts on Twitter seem to overlook. And that's probably the reason why they want to push Major League Soccer into the regular soccer calendar. And to me, that's a mistake. Have you seen our winters? That's not the problem. No, that's not the problem.
That's not the problem. So again, U.S. Soccer, even if they kept the windows the same, it wouldn't be an issue. Because right now, you could sign a player from the New York Red Bulls. Well, not right now because it's September 2nd, but a week ago when the window was closed.
Turkey is still open.
Yeah. Again, like Nick said, the window in Turkey is still open. So, like, it's not like everyone's got the same window. It is what it is. John Tolkien is a great example of that. Everybody was like, oh, he's going to go. He's not going to go, whatever. If he signs right now, he's staying until January, and then he's gone.
Right. He's gone.
Anthony, my question would be for, like, I know it looks bad that we can't nail anybody, but why is it always we only get, like, our third choice? Like, because we've seen the strikers. If we have
what do you think is the third choice? Like, who's the third choice?
Like the first guy that they mentioned was Memphis Depay. I know that was a lie.
Okay. Hold on.
I know.
That's not Memphis Depay was never a choice.
No, I know it was never a choice. I was going to laugh at that. When Memphis, they leaked it out. Oh, he's linked to the Red Bulls. He was never coming.
He was never linked to the Red Bulls.
I know. It was a lie. Whatever. They just posted it on. There was the other striker from Red Bull 2. I'm sorry, not Red Bull 2. From
Salzburg.
That he was linked to us. There was the kid from Sparta that was linked to us. These kids either like linked, and then there was the Polish kid that wanted to be the third guy. Like the first guy was mentioned by Gomez to be involved in the transfer to get him over, and then the same thing with the midfielders. First guy was some from Dutch kid.
Kaboma. Yeah.
And then the guy that Sandro had, and I can't remember his name. I'm just forgetting his name. And then we got Carballo. It looks like that we always miss our first choice look. Is it on Johan for not get it? Does it go back to Johan, or does it go back to the front office in Germany coming back to like our budget is this is that? Is it where's the breakdown coming from?
I mean, it is just the nature of the beast. Almost no one other than maybe 5 teams in the world ever get their first choice.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
you're just looking, Gabaman. Okay, I'm gonna watch my words here because I want to make sure I'm not sued. Gabaman has been rumored to have failed his physical, and
his agent denied that.
An agent would say that.
Denied that, yeah.
and look, like an agent will, like I and no knock on the article that came on for that. I thought it was very insightful, but an agent will say whatever can protect their clients.
Yeah.
So because if a word comes out that he failed the physical, no one else is going to want to sign them.
Did he sign?
Yes, he signed for a team in France. He signed for now.
Yeah, because right after that he said no, he didn't fail his medical, and then he was supposed to sign with a French team.
Sure.
So, I mean, if he signed for a team, it leads me to believe that he was okay. That's all.
I mean, one team saying no. One team saying we want you to be the guy versus another team saying that's cool is a very different kind of way. So no one is going to know what happened other than the player and the agent privately. So again, I want to say that very clearly. I heard that he failed his physical. We saw the article that came out, I believe, in AM New York, and it was very one-sided. Red Bull is not going to give their perspective on that because they do not. That's just what they do. So that is what it is. But signings are what they are, and unless you are Real Madrid, you are Barcelona or Manchester United, one of these guys, signings will fall through and you will move on to the next option. And that is what happened in this case.
Yeah, there are thousands of players.
That was as tight as what this was.
Yeah, there are thousands of players that they thought they had, their target. And this is why I always say, right, fellas, unless you present this guy with the shirt, didn't happen.
Yes.
So
we're going through that now with the U.S. men's national team. I have told everybody who I think is going to be the coach, and I'm not going to say his name here. When Pochettino came out, I said, I haven't heard about that. Is Pochettino announced yet?
No.
My guy is still in the running from what I know. And I'm not going to say his name, but he's still in the running.
I can understand to a point the fans' frustration, Miguel. I get it. I absolutely get it. You get it. Nick gets it. Carlos gets it. Everyone gets it. They want to see the interaction. They want to see, the team, building to a championship in real time, and they're not getting enough.
Hold on. Sorry, Gary.
Okay, go ahead.
What you want is a Cucho Hernandez. But the problem is,
how many times have I said that, Gary?
Hold on.
I know.
Give us a guy like that.
Hold on. But the issue is, you do not know that Cucho Hernandez is Cucho Hernandez until he gets on the field. Because when he was signed, were you excited for Columbus? No, because you didn't know who Cucho Hernandez
was. A lot of folks, right?
I'd seen him in Watford. What are you talking about? He was all right. He was all right.
Yeah.
And I
said, this team had players from Premier League sides that what was his name, Fletcher, a few years back, who was also an ex-Watford player. Okay,
oh my God.
But again, Cucho, if Cucho was knocking it out of the park at Watford, he would not have come here.
Yeah.
So again, you're looking at guys who
you're basically getting their sloppy seconds, and and to your point, Miguel, and your point, Anthony, Bradley Wright Phillips when
Bradley
he was
Redford's
signed,
a great example.
great example. I like when people sign him. I remember people said, "What the hell? What did they sign that guy for? I don't get this guy. He's a bum. He couldn't hang. He couldn't do it. He couldn't do what he was doing over.
League One. He was a League One signing. He was.
They were like Ian Wright's kid.
Yeah, Ian Wright. Yeah, Ian Wright's kid. Are you kidding me? Now you got his number hanging in the rafters.
The other Ian Wright's kid. Not because they were more about the other one.
Yeah, they were all about Sean Wright.
But now what?
Came over at some point.
Right, but now what? We got his number hanging in the rafters. I mean, he's basically referred to, as the greatest forward.
Yeah, what you want is somebody. You want someone that fits the system. And they have given a lot of slack to the guys that are there now. I will say some have grown. Elias Manuel has definitely grown. I'm not saying Elias Manuel is the guy. Go forward with him forever. But I will say that Van Zier has been given the shot, and he has shown his capability at this point. Now you go back into the market and you figure it out. And I know that Simic was one of the names. He signed with another team. There are other guys. I know that years ago, Yusuf Paulson was an idea. Did not happen. I believe he would have absolutely destroyed this league. That is, that's
he would have annihilated this league.
He'll be a great poacher here. He'll be great.
He would have been phenomenal. But they are looking at guys, and they are working on it. Again, it's sports. You don't get it right, and that's it. And it's our job to say, "Screw you, you got it wrong."
It's funny how several other MLS teams they do get it right though.
Like who?
Right? I mean Columbus Crew, NYCFC. We can go
on. NYCFC.
NYCFC won the MLS Cup, man. And Maxi Morales.
Maxi Morales was a was a dumpster pickup.
I'm sorry, they had a better team than we did, and they rightly won MLS Cup. I'm gonna go. You just mentioned the Columbus Crew.
They got to a COVID team of Philadelphia that the year later they lost to.
Listen, I get it. Arsenal won the FA Cup during COVID. It doesn't count. I know. Anthony.
I didn't say it didn't count.
No. Just say counts. Listen. You were just talking about the Columbus Crew. We pretty much agree they're the best team in MLS, right? And you're saying like this is the first year on the Sandro. How many times has Columbus done it? Columbus won MLS Cup a couple of times. They put together good teams.
Not under Wilfred Nancy. They just won.
I'm just saying we never seem to put together a good team capable of winning MLS Cup. While other teams in MLS,
again, I talked about the playoffs.
Okay,
2018 would disagree with you.
I understand about the playoffs. Anything can happen in the playoffs. Yada yada yada. You can get hot, but almost doesn't count, and it's always almost with this team. As a matter of fact, most of the time it's not even almost. They bow out most of the time out in the first round. Okay. Okay, yeah, okay.
Almost every time it's
I'm just wondering why. And as a matter of fact, I'm disheartened, okay?
Okay. Oops. Oh boy, he was
got
very
to.
disheartened.
He'll be back.
No, but look, I just to go back to I get the frustration that Miguel is putting forward. And I get fan frustration because of that. What I have to say is not going to make them feel better. I was like, this is sports. Yeah. Go talk to a Jets fan right now and let them know what they feel. It sucks. Being a sports fan, right, we are approaching. Gary and I just talked about the Yankees. We are 5 years away from 20 years without a World Series. It is. That's sports. You do your best, you make mistakes, but most of the times you get it wrong. Yeah. That's what it is.
I do get that. I get into the argument with a lot of Rebel fans. They don't spend. No, it's not that we don't spend. That's the wrong terminology. We spend wrongly is my terminology with it. Because we've missed on Van Zier. We've missed on Klimala. When you miss on your DPs in this league, you look like you're not going to win. And look, and you can see it in the team we're facing next week on Saturday, Kansas City. They've missed on their DPs, and look where they're standing on this.
One win away from winning a trophy.
Yeah, I was about to say they're going to the USL final. Yeah.
They beat 4 USL teams along the way, so I'm not really gonna.
And I don't want to. Well, no, I won't say that now. I'll say that off the air. But anyway, there's some stuff about that's oh boy, oh no,
Matthew, come on, man.
My wife is a Mets fan, so I feel for her all the time.
Come on, I'm an Islander fan. These are torture years. We haven't seen anything since 1984. Come on, we had a chance, and we lost like 1-goal game in Game 7 in Tampa, for crying out loud. And we could have won the cup that year because we were facing Montreal. That would have been our cup.
As a Ranger fan, I don't want to hear about Tampa.
No,
no, but I want to stress to Red Bull fans this one point. Do not think that this, and again, I'm not a show for the team or anything. If I was running the team, I would run it very differently than what it's run now.
So would I.
But do not think for 1 second that they are not invested or thinking about the end goal being winning MLS Cup. They want to win it the way that they want to win it. And when I say they're annoyingly German, this is what I mean. Because Leipzig, who just ended the streak of Leverkusen, wants to win the way that they want to win. And that is what it is. It is, they believe, and City is actually not different from this either. They want to win in the philosophy in which they want to win. And if they lose by it, they can put their heads down every night and feel like, you know what? We lost in the way we wanted to lose. And that's it.
Right.
And that's frustrating, but that's what it is.
I mean, fans remember back in the day when Sabatnik and all those other guys were basically balls to the wall, just grabbing anybody with a pulse, signing a contract and hope for the best. Those days are done. They're not doing that. I mean, you may not like their methods, but until the results match them, it's going to open up to interpretation and question. That I understand as far as the fan is concerned. But winning championships are, they're not instant. There really isn't. I mean, even with Columbus, not too long ago, they were basically on the way to Texas, being branded as another team. Another ownership group came in, bought them, and said, "Okay, we're going to do this right." And they've been doing it right ever since.
And who was the guy that fixed it? Bezpachenko.
He's my he's my choice to be my GM. Okay,
who did this team get rid of years ago? That was a GM that understood MLS. Gary, who was it?
Boy. I mean, I still get annoyed. I still get annoyed over that. I mean, just because he fired Pecky, you got him so mad you want to chase him out of here. I mean, never mind. And that's how we got to 2018. I thought that we were going to move forward from that to become a real serious contender for every year after that. Once they chased, you notice that once he was gone, things began to slide downhill. So this is what I've always said. It's not necessarily the players, it's the organization. It takes an organization to win a championship. So when you have the right people doing things, great things happen. But when you have guys who still trying to feel their way around, it's going to take a little while longer. And that's where the Red Bulls are at right now. Rightly or wrongly, we'll see who's right. But let's only hope that the fans are still around when it's all said and done.
They will be. The fans have really been showing up this year, which has been phenomenal.
Which is true. Speaking of, New York Red Bulls 2 had a 2-goal lead, Mr. Hall and Mr. Ofori in 28 minutes. And then after that, Carolina Core, those dirty foxes, they came out and scored 4 goals. And before you know it, it's which was supposed to be a 2-win, it's a 4-2 loss for those guys over at Truist Point Stadium in High Point, North Carolina. That really, stung everybody because I thought that game was pretty much all said and done. Meanwhile, our friends over in Orlando went down to Orlando, had to deal with a deluge, and they got to deal with a deluge of goals. Miss Leo, 6 in the 19th minute, and that's all they needed for Orlando to beat New York and New Jersey, Gotham FC, and of course, and that ended that. So
first loss in quite some time, by the way.
Yeah, I mean that's what I was going to mention. That they haven't lost games in a while. So
no. Oh, Coach Juan Carlos really has a deep. He has a diverse roster. I'm being very down the middle about that, but he has managed it incredibly well. And if you watch Gotham, you will know just how much he has had to deal with. But he is a tremendous coach. Obviously, they won the league last year. They had a great streak of not losing a game, and this weekend they're going in and trying to re-up their momentum heading into the playoffs. I think they're an incredibly formidable team. Not a lot of other teams in the league can compete with them. So yeah, I'm pro Gotham. Go Gotham. That is the team. You want a Yankees in soccer? Gotham is it.
Hey, NWSL Cup finalist, a bust as far as I'm concerned. I know, Nick, we haven't spoken about Sporting Kansas City, so let's go through that real quick. And let's go through a preview of what the Red Bulls are going to be expecting, what they're supposed to be doing the right thing. They're at home again, but against a club that's been literally really doing quite well to U.S. Open Cup finals. One thing is certain, they're forward. They didn't really need to keep an eye on. Nick, you're up.
KC, 12th place in the West, having a pretty bad season. They're a bad road team. 2 wins, 9 losses, and 2 draws on the road. And we get them with Alpha Bye. They had this week off. Of course, we're playing during an international game, one of 6 games scheduled for us. Come on, geez. League scheduling.
This is the sort of thing that sets Nick off. Once again, we're playing in international week. Go ahead.
William Agard is their number 1 player with 9 goals. Who got a red card against Orlando? Thank you for beating Orlando 2 weeks ago. You got a red card, so we suspended for this game. The other 2 main scorers are Eric Tomini and the veteran Johnny Russell, who looks like he's been there for the last 15 years or so.
Yes.
Yeah, he's still dangerous. You're still dangerous.
Memo Rodriguez is the guy that pulls the strings. He's got 6 assists. Alan Polito, one of the DPs, he's got 4 goals and 5 assists. Overall, they're in 12th place. They're not having a great season. They had a good run. They've been pretty bad. They're giving up 50.
Every time when we talk about bad teams, we turn them into good teams. So at least for that one night.
3 clean sheets. They score 44. They can score. They've given up 52. So it's basically it's an open game we're going to get against them. They had a sort of a good run. Their cup run has been good. You give them credit for getting to the Open Cup final, and they qualify for the CONCACAF, whatever that tournament is. They beat Indy 11 2-0 in the semifinal. They beat Omaha, FC Tulsa, Dallas
squads.
Yeah, Dallas and the Indy 11 to get there. They're there. They're in the final. They're playing LAFC for the final. Congratulations to them for making it there. They're still coached by Peter Vermees, who somehow doesn't get thrown out of it. He's still there. He's been there. I think
original Metro Stars captain.
He's also their GM.
Yeah. Oh, that explains a lot.
No, not anymore. That's not true. He was, and now he's not. Yeah.
Okay,
they took that. They took that job from him. They gave it to somebody else.
Okay. Last time we've seen them in Red Bull Arena was opening day 2021. So it's been a while since they've been here. We lost that game 2-1.
Yep.
Last time we played them was back in July of 22. We won a 1-0 game from an Aaron Long set piece goal. That was the game that everybody lost their mind because Clamado started doing the Andre Blake and was rolling around the floor playing for like 20 minutes. They took him off the field for the last 5 minutes of the game for like stalling time, and I remember that. And eventually they did win the game, but we won 1-0. It was one of those slow, ever recognized 1-0 game on the Struber. So listen, we're playing a team not in great form. They're only last 6 games. They have 2 wins, 3 losses, 2 draws. So they're not in great form. So you have a chance against this team. This team's not great on the road too, so that's where we're at. So,
what's your prediction?
2-1 victory. Even without everybody, no Morgan, no Forsberg, no. Who else is missing? Is Noel still called up? I don't know if he's Noel.
No, he is not. He has not been called up. Yeah.
Okay, so I think even with our missing pieces, we'll score 2 against them, and we'll win a 2-1 nail biter. I'll take the victory. My guess is as good as nothing because I haven't got one right yet.
Since I'm in last place again, I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. Yeah, I know. Hate me now.
Lucky number 13 on the draws.
Hate me now, but I don't see enough firepower for them to get past them. Based on the trends I'm looking at as far as offensive. Maybe I hope I'm wrong, but I do think we're going to get a goal, just not enough against this side. Since Miguel's not here, Anthony, you take the spot. What are you looking at?
I will say it's a 1-0 win. I think that they scrap a goal. And I think the defense holds on and gets it done because I don't think a lot of that Kansas City offense. But they do leak a lot of goals, especially against teams that run in behind them. So that's where I'm at with it.
That's the one thing, Nick, that you probably also noticed that they're kind of a little old, slow. Yeah. Just like Philly, but as long as you get the jump on them for a change and not the other way around, you might come away with a victory. Something that I believe the coach is going to be hitting on his charges once we speak to him on Thursday. Anthony, you're going to be at the training center as usual, along with the good questions and stuff like that. We will chime in with you. Anthony Merced can be found at one source that is known as AJM Sports FC. He is there along with myself, Dan Feuerstein, and of course, JJ Pollock. And we're there for one purpose, is to give you all the information you can about all the area sports, and that includes NYCFC and Gotham FC. So it is ajmsportsfc.com. Do swing by and say hello. And so we will put an end at episode 120. We will be back next week along with Lanre, I'm sure he's not done cursing after what happened on Saturday. And of course,
I want to curse at Lanre. We gotta curse together. I love him. We gotta curse together.
And of course,
mode. I don't know about that one.
I'm sure he's done swearing. And of course, the one and only Mark Coates. Of course, you're going to be talking about the outcoats in games the games. So next week should be again Sporting Kansas City is on Saturday. Looking at the schedule for our good friends over in Gotham FC. Hang on for one moment. Sorry about that. I've been dealing with enough technical issues this way, and I'm a technician. So, there we go. And New York Red Bulls 2, they're on the road. Chicago Fire FC 2. They're going to be dealing with them on Friday. Gotham FC on Sunday versus the Houston Dash. And that kickoff time is at 1 o'clock. Chicago Fire FC, their game is at 7 p.m. Of course, naturally, it's either on MLS Apple TV Plus, or lately their games have been shown on YouTube. I don't know when the switch that happened, but if it's on YouTube, everybody gets to see them, I guess, now. But that's where you can be able to catch them.
Just want to say real quick that Gotham will be in the group stage of the CONCACAF Champions Cup against Alajuelense on the 5th on Thursday. So they will play that before they play their game on the weekend.
Okay. USA men's team we got an alert. Canada is their next opponent on Saturday, September 7th. That should be a bar burner. They always seem to don't like each other lately because Canada is the team that's coming up. United States is right now the big bully of the bunch in the CONCACAF stuff. So that should be a fun matchup. And that's the games coming up this week. So that's it for now. Let's thank you guys all for joining us. Everyone signing on, of course, on the live stream. Thanks so much. But remember, if you missed the live episode, you can always catch us, of course, on YouTube channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Of course, goldtv.com. We're still working on their little issues with uploading episodes, but they will be there. Trust me. And of course, Spotify.com. Well, now that we got that done and dusted, let's hope Saturday brings smiles to everyone's face going into that. So for Anthony Merced, Nick Lianos, and of course, the long since departed Miguel Nunez. We don't know what happened to him. He probably had I hope he's okay over there. Until then, next week, folks, good night, and hope you guys enjoyed your weekend. We will see you guys next week. Bye for now.